Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program with me, Hi Hobo, and today we're going to take a bit of a deviation from the normal Eve missions. In fact, actually this is an entirely different game. Obviously it's still Kerbal Space Program, but it's not the one with the save file where we're actually in an orbit with Eve. Sorry, around the sun on the same sort of path as Eve. This is something that I want to try and start up, and it's going to be a competition, and it's going to be a round the world competition. See who can design the plane that will go the furthest. Now, this is a Mark II model. The Mark One model that I did with a knackered staging. Managed to get a flight time of 58 minutes and 3 seconds at 1,157,893 meters in that time, about halfway around the planet, roughly. And its top speed was 506 meters per second. However, this one is a little bit slower. I think its top's probably going to be, its average speed's around about the 240, 300 mark. Okay, I'm going to fly this. If you want to join in the competition, please do. I'd be more than happy to. Yeah, like I said, I just want to get something started here and get you guys involved. Rules. There are always rules with this. Number one, this particular capsule, this sort of shuttle-like one, the three-man one, has to be that sort of capsule, and then everything else is based around that. Number two, vanilla parts only, no modifications whatsoever. Number three, the method of submitting. Number one, if you have fraps, you can do as I'm doing. Record it from this point, i.e., we don't need to necessarily see you build it, but we do need to see it in the VAB or the SVAB, whatever this particular spaceplane hangar is, to the runway, and then fast forwarded through the flight to the landing, and then the post-analysis screen, so as I'm doing it. Also, a good tour around the ship like so that everyone can see all the parts are above board and legitimate, and also a quick run through how you've got your staging set out. Okay, if that's the way you want to do that, then that's fine. You can submit it as a video response to this video, and I'd be quite happy for people to do that. Or, if you can't record, then you could do screenshots. So again, screenshot like that, and a screenshot like that, and a screenshot like that. So we can see all the major components, so you can't get called out on anything. Then we want to see it on the runway, then I want to see it in flight, and then I want to see it on the ground, again with the post-analysis screen stating all of your numbers. Okay. The flight path is across the 90-degree mark across the planet. You'll see which way I'm going to go in a minute. Design, despite the fact there's not going to be a disqualification, of course, we're going to pay less attention to people who just slap wings onto absolutely everything. These ones have all got a very good purpose, and it's to move the center of mass and the center of lift around, so that it's a good level flight. And even now it's a little bit touch and go. I might have to have another look at it, but there is a good reason for all of these wings. I wonder if actually setting a cap on the wings might be a good idea. But for the time being, an unlimited amount of wings, just don't slap them onto everything. I don't think I'm going to shut this competition down. So if you're watching this years and years and years and years, and you think I want to have a go at that, and they've released all extra parts that aren't in this 0.17 version, go ahead and post a video anyway. Whether or not anything comes of it afterwards, I can't guarantee that, but we'll certainly don't mind having a look. But with that said as well, if you can't actually beat this record, go ahead and post your videos anyway, because I just like to see what other people are doing with Kerbal Space Program. It's always nice. And there isn't going to be a prize for this. Like I say, it's going to be open-ended, so there necessarily won't be a winner. There'll just be whoever's doing better at that particular moment. I think I made a mistake moving that. I think we will go with that. Yeah, whoever's just doing the best at that particular moment. is going to be that, and that you can sort of have boasting rights among your own friends. That said, as well, the crew have to survive, and the plane, if you were able to refuel it, should be able to take off again. So it doesn't matter if you land on a mountain or in the water. If the landing gear survives and the ship survives and the crew survives, then that qualifies as a landing. If anything breaks off, and that's why I was looking at this actually, because I think I'm going to come in with a tail happy landing and take this engine off, that won't qualify. That will disqualify this flight. Okay, so like I say, video responses, photo responses, if you want to enter that way as well, send them to me at Twitter, at Hobo, the other, what I might do as well, if you want me to, is possibly spotlight some of the either more ingenious, interesting designs, or some of the better planes as well, if you can't record them, if you send me the save file. But I'll do that by request. Also, be prepared for me to quiz you about the design and why you've specifically chosen to put things in certain areas. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hit the launch pad. This launch is going to be for, so I'm just checking my pad here, Madman 3470 terabyte Das Bieten Zocker LP. I hope I've pronounced that right. I apologise if I haven't. Again, another user without a YouTube name, and Huggy74. So welcome to all you guys. Without further ado, Bill, Jebediah and Bob, off we go. See a lovely smooth takeoff here, like that. You see, that's what these wings do, is keep that sort of level flight all the time. It wobbles like all sorts of bloody hell, and if I take the SAS off, there is hell to pay for doing that. But it flies economically, to the point where I'm going to drop it down there. I'm going to get my fuel rate down to 2 litres a second. And I am now going to start my climb, and I will be back when I hit my target height. So I will see you in a moment. Okay, so we're at our target height, around about the 10,000 metres. That's going to wander a little bit as well. Still slowly picking up speed, but about 240 is, as I said, that's roughly what this average speed is going to be, especially whilst we're carrying all these fuel tanks, and we haven't even turned 3 engines on yet. So these are going to burn through. We're going to pop those off, and then we're going to go with these 2, and then they're going to pop off, and then we're going to go down to that one, and this one is going to burn constantly anyway, because that has, whoops, quite a fair bit of fuel in it to last us the duration there. So I will now, again, so just to show you where we are, whoops, we're on the dark side, so it's going to be a bit tricky to see, but I think we took off from around about here somewhere, so we haven't got a great deal of distance so far, but we will, don't worry. So I'm going to fast forwards again until we're ready to hit these drop tanks. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so we're down to our last 10 litres of fuel on these tanks. Now, it's worth actually noting as well that once we blow these, we're actually without a landing gear for a while until we get to the actual final stage here. So we can't land on this stage because it would go back. Well, that, and it would be incredibly unstable. We're still creeping a little bit as well. I don't want to go that much higher. We gained a little bit of speed in that time as well. But down to our last litre in now. And we need to be climbing for this, definitely. And that's going to bring in these two. Once they get up to speed. And the other thing it's worth noting as well is as we drain the fuel from the front to the back gets heavier and the front gets lighter. And hopefully at that point, that's when these second set of wings start coming in and providing the lift necessary. I'm sure I put more of a kick into that as well, so it provided a lift at the tail end. When this stage goes as well, we lose quite a lot of lift from these wings. Ooh, we're still climbing at a rate that I'm not particularly interested in. Okay, so with that little lesson out of the way, again, I'll be back with you when we get ready to pop these tanks too, so I'll see you shortly. Okay, so we're under our last 10 litres of fuel there, so we're just going to get ready to jettison these and pop our last tank into operation. And coming up on the next piece of land now as well, and I'm going to pop to the map after we've done this exchange. Hang on a second. See it bleeding speed off like nobody's business. We might have to exchange some fuel for thrust now because we're starting to struggle a little bit. But there we go. That's where we've got to. As we're coming into the last sort of drop tank of fuel cells. Now you'll notice a couple of things that happened during that flight. Number one, I EVA'd, IVA'd, but there isn't a great deal to see, I'm afraid. There's no dials in here. It's quite bland, I'm afraid. So Number two, I have started exchanging some of my heights for initially speed, but I'm just and efficiency as well. But I'm wondering, does this really matter super much, provided it doesn't drop too low? Because we're still going faster as the atmosphere is starting to thin out. I do need to keep quite a thick atmosphere though, because as you can tell by my tilt, we require a lot of lift, and that's only going to get worse after this as well. So maybe 13,000 is going to be our new objective. Maybe we'll break the sound barrier before the afternoon's out, who knows. But again, I'm going to fast forward. This is going to be a long time. It's also worth noting that I haven't pressed the fast forward button. I'm sitting here and doing this note by note. I'm not trimming the plane out, so I'm not going anywhere. I have to sit with the computer. I do know that you can trim it. I just can't remember what the buttons are, but either way, I like to have these sort of finite hands-on controls with my aircraft. If anything's going to fuck it up, I prefer to do it personally. If I'm going to kill Bill, Job and Bob, be it by my hand and not by the hand of a machine. So yeah, strap yourselves in, boys and girls. This is going to take some time. Okay, so the reason I've come back, I've just done some maths, and I think we might have been a little bit late getting this stage up and running. When these tanks run dry, in this stage here there will be 750 litres of fuel left. However, in this top section there will be 350, which means that we will be trying to fly the whole thing on this one bellied engine. If it was the other way around, it wouldn't be too bad because I'd be able to drop all this weight. So this really should have been an earlier stage, a much earlier stage, probably from the start, leaving just this one to coast with at the end. But that's what we've had to do. So what we might do is cut the engine for 2 tanks and see if we can fly this on just this one engine here. Which is going to dramatically slow things down, but we'll see. We might need to up our game a little bit with the throttle as well. We'll see how things go. So yeah, again, I will be back in a moment. In fact, actually scrap that. Because it just hasn't got the power. It simply hasn't. Eventually we are going to have to come and deal with that. But I don't want to have to deal with it until it becomes a real issue. I also don't want to be going up that high. This was our starting point here, I think. Pretty sure it's not that. Pretty sure it's this sort of bit here. So we've done a reasonable track, but we're certainly not out of the woods. I don't see this one being a complete orbital flight round the planet, especially whilst we have got so much height and we're gaining it as well. Let's go cut the engines momentarily whilst we drop some altitude. Oh, we are dropping altitude, right, okay. That's good. So we've got to get all of that speed back. We've dropped about 70, 75, 80 metres per second. So we've got to get all that back. The first bit shouldn't be too much of an issue. But certainly coming down into this 13... back down into the 13 metre side of things is going to help. Okay, so I'll go ahead and fast forwards and I will see you again in a moment. Okay, so what I've had to do is drop down into, not a huge distance, but just into slightly thicker atmosphere because I'm struggling to get this tail end back into tow. But this seems to have sorted it out a little bit. It's starting to level out a bit more than it was. Though, as predicted, as we start moving down here, there's no weight at the front now, apart from these little fuel tanks which barely weigh anything, and a shed load in these. So, actually getting it to tip over is quite tricky, but then again, I don't want too much of that now because I'm starting to drop way too much altitude, and then we're going to start fighting air resistance, and that will slow us down and cause us just to fall anyway. So yeah, again, I'll be fast forwarding, and I'll see you in a moment. And I've just realised, I was busy assumably watching the sun come up there, that we've actually just surpassed our previous best flight time of, as I said before, 58 minutes and 3 seconds. So still going strong, although flight complications are inbound very shortly, very shortly. Yeah. So again, I'll be fast forwarding through this lovely sunrise. Sit back and enjoy. Okay, so we're just about to drop out of this tank here. You would have noticed I've actually disabled this tank as well. That's because I want to actually have that as sort of a final stage, almost. Now, the problem isn't going to necessarily be thrust, although our speed is going to suffer substantially and we may have to, again, throttle up. The problem with this is the centre of thrust gets dropped from sort of here to here, and that forces the nose up on the plane. Not so much of a problem you may think, apart from this is a plane which is particularly nose happy anyway. If I just sort of let it sit even with the SAS on, the nose will slowly drift up. So that's actually pushing the nose up as well as it lifting up, and there's not enough downforce on the tail to balance the plane back out again. So I want to do this whilst I still have some altitude, and there we go, that's that gone. That's that engine gone. So maybe if we come down to this fuel tank here, the other thing as well is once we start losing speed, then the air running under the wings starts to bleed off as well, and you start risking, well, not necessarily a stall in this game, but certainly some adverse effects of some adverse effects to your flight. However, it seems to be dealing with this pretty well, so we might be okay. And then once that stage is gone, I'll re-enable that one for the final kick, and then we will start drifting to a land. Now this, at the moment, I've actually been sitting here, as I said, I've not fast forwarded it, I've been sitting here now for an hour and 22 minutes. I really need the toilet like you wouldn't believe. This thing glides. Boy, does this thing glide. So I'll be looking forward to showing you that. But what I'll probably wind up doing is coming back at around about 20 metres. Because that seems to be about this thing's magic number. That's when it's pretty much out of juice for flying. So again, burn through these last couple of tanks, and just to show you the map of the moment. So it's a bit difficult to see now because it's night time-ish. We've come from here all the way round, and we're here. If we get to the end of this continent, I will be pretty impressed with that, but I don't know, that might be ambitious. So yeah, I will see you again in uno momento, por favor, I think. Okay guys, it's now got to the point, it's an hour and a half, I am desperate for the toilet. The only way that I can see fair to do this is, there you go, my mouse does work, it's been sat there for quite some time, is to pause it and leave the recording running, but I'm going to fast forward through that. Feel free to take down any measurements and any notes that you want from the screen. I will be back in a second. Okay, I am back. The other risk, bladder relieved, by the way, the other risk that I'm running at the moment is it is now 20 past 2, and I'm supposed to be out for dinner at 3 o'clock. In fact, actually, that said, we'll do that whilst I'm flying. I'm supposed to be out for dinner at 3 o'clock. I still need to get changed and get showered and get dressed and everything, get down there. So, I, with the first flight taking 58 minutes and me only making a couple of minor adjustments, I really did not expect it to be an hour and a half long flight. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take us to burn through this next couple of tanks. Um, so I'm sort of panicking a little bit, not about the flight, but about real life things and trying to figure out what's best to do. Not really your problem. I want to stay and finish this flight off. Whether or not I wind up having to cut the video and come back to it later. What I'd do is I'd save it and pause it and then go to dinner and come back and finish it. But yeah, I prefer to keep it as one video for you guys so that you can see that there's been no foul play, no hanky-panky with video footage or anything like that. So I will try. I will endeavour to keep it. It's not even like I can go anywhere either because this plane misbehaves a little bit. So if I walk away, even for a few seconds, I'm going to be flying vertically, and then this whole thing has been ruined. It's been a complete waste of time. So anyway, without further ado, the fast forwarding may begin. Okay, I know that I said that I wasn't going to use the warp, but I've been thinking about it and working through some of the numbers. I think I might have to. It might not work actually, because again, like I said, the plane misbehaved. So I will give it a go. Let's see. Just start by doing a 2 times warp. Three times warp. No, I like the 2 times warp more. Okay, so a 2 times warp plus a fast forward for you. Goodbye. Oh, okay, still got 2 tanks to go, and I really do have to go, so I am going to have to cut this in half. That said, so what I'm going to be doing is I hit escape. I don't think I can save. Yeah, not lost in the atmosphere. I'm going to stop the recording here, and then when we return, I will try not to move any of this, though it may be that the mouse is sort of jolted up over here or something, but this and this and this and all of this should remain the same. Well, so no, it will remain the same, provided that the computer doesn't crash or something whilst I'm out. So I'm going to go have some delicious either chicken or lamb today, I hope. I will see you in a moment. Goodbye. And we're back. Who would have thought that lamb and feta cheese was a good combination? Anywho, let us continue. Pretty much just going to straight away go back into the fast forward bit. So, what are we on here? Last tank of fuel, is this? Yep, last tank of fuel. So when this one is about to run out, we will be back. Okay, so we're on to the last 10 litres of fuel for this stage. I'm going to reignite this one, because we're going to need to climb out of this as well as we drop this. And it looks like we're not too far away from the edge of the continent now. Whether or not it's in sight, yeah. That's where I'd like to be, but I don't know. Optimistic, I think. So just a little slither of fuel now, about 1.5 bottles of Coke. Bottle of Coke. A Pizza Hut bottle of Coke. A can of Coke. A can of Red Bull. Gone. So we're going to drop that stage. Away we go, and that is now going to alter the handling of this plane quite dramatically, because we've of course lost quite a few wings there. We're going to settle back out again. Should. It's a bit more responsive now that we've dropped some of that weight. Speed's gone up exponentially. To the point where we could actually probably throttle back a little bit more. I don't think we need to though. I think for what difference it would make at this point, I think I've really sort of proved the point of this plane. You know, this is what it was designed to do. But its real party trick is going to come when this tank drops out. And that's going to be something else. So again, I think we're going to cut away. Not cut away, sorry, we're going to fast forwards through this, and we'll come back in about 10 litres off the end, and then we'll come in for the start of the drop from the sky. Just as a bit of a catch up as well, we launched from here. So we're nearly halfway around the world, I think. There and abouts. The problem is I'd like to leave them as a marker, but can't, because otherwise you won't get the all the feedback at the end. Anyway, I'm waffling. To the fast forwards. Okay, so we're just about to run out of fuel. We've really smashed the 58-minute and 3-second mark. So here is going to be this little baby's party trick. So we come through to this, bailing out less than a Coke can's worth of fuel per second, and the engines drop. This will just glide for eternity and a day. The actual problem is we lose horizontal speed much quicker than we lose. Sorry, we lose horizontal speed faster than we lose vertical speed. So effectively, we sort of just stop in the middle of the air and stall. You'll see what I mean. In fact, actually, probably what I'm going to do is just start this this glide, and then fast forward to the last 20 meters, and then you're going to see how softly it. There we go. That's the engine out. You see how softly it comes down. Now, I could aim for this land over here. I'm going to go for either a water landing, but I don't know whether we might be able to make this landfall over here. But I mean, you see, we're dropping the horizontal speed and the vertical speed a little bit as well. So this is the sort of plane I'm going to try and keep. I'm going to try and keep as much horizontal speed as I can. I'll just tip into this a little bit more and keep the air moving under the wings a bit quicker. So yeah, I'm going to fast forwards and we'll come back in a moment. Okay, everybody, so that's the party trick. That's why I had to put you into fast forward mode, because that's been quite some time gliding there. Now, I've actually just noticed that that looks like a hill. And we're going to need to not... We're going to need to be on the ground before we hit that hill, so I'm actually going to have to lose some of my distance in exchange for getting down quickly. Because remember, this plane has to be able to take off again after I've done. Oh, that was a mistake. Maybe we can get it down here. This is where everything gets nervous. We've been up in the air for now 2.5 hours, and it all rests on this specific moment, and the SAS coming good for me. We're not losing speed or height. Though we could let the ground come to us. Oh, holy shit. Yeah, that's... Sorry, I know it's not particularly professional commentary here, but come on, we've got to run out of air sometime. Really, we're going to make it over this hill as well. So it just doesn't bleed off any speed at all. It's just wants to keep going. In fact, we're nearly going as fast as we were with the engines. Right, okay, we're going for a put down here. Gently. Oh! 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 Fuck it! I can't believe that. That's so disappointing. Okay, by my own rules, anything that you do now is going to be better than that flight. However, let's go and take a look at the stats. So 2 hours, 27 minutes and 17, as it says up there. Highest altitude 14,715. Highest speed, highest speed achieved over land 371. That's the big number there. Is 2,098,705. So why is that an extra 100? No, why is that an extra 4,000? 40,000, sorry. Maybe because it got flung. The disappointment. I should have bailed it out in the water, really, and suffered the loss. So anything you can do beats my score. I'm sure there's more efficient ways to run that plane. I'm sure that due to the amount of lift that it's got, that there's room to add more fuel to it. I also think that removing one of the nose wings and either moving it to the tail or putting more of an angle on the tail would would be beneficial to the flight. I think probably add another maybe half an hour, and that underbelly stage, either run that as its own stage in its entirety or run it with the two engines at the front so it starts a fuel tank earlier. Or maybe even start it right at the beginning as I had it in the first place. Whatever. I killed Jeb and Bob, and it's been such a long day for this as well. That's really disappointed me. But I suppose I was never in this to win it. I was in it to set you guys onto something, and I think hopefully I have done. Now this is going to be the interesting one here. These separation stages here, these are the first ones of the avionics tanks. Now I was dragging them at 0.2 litres per second, just double check that at the beginning of the video there. But that roughly says that you get about 10 minutes per tank. Per tank of fuel, which would give you a good idea of if you can get your plane running on these, how long you'd be able to do it for in order to beat that. So that would be, you need 12, 13, 14, you need 15 tanks of fuel running one at a time to beat that before using the fuselage fuel. But whatever, I'm sure that you guys are clever enough to figure it all out and work through it. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a hell of a make, but I've enjoyed showing that plane off. It is a good little plane. It's certainly, like I say, it's surprising would be a good word, and it doesn't gain speed when you want it to, and then just as you're ready to try and get it to slow down and start over again, it won't. It gathers speed, and because of the design, it has to land on such a narrow skid. That's why it was caused to flip. I mean, I might have been able to have just let it slow down a little bit under its own weight, or a parachute might have even worked quite nicely there as well. But the second that touched the brake and it started to veer, that was pretty much it. This isn't the surface to be trying to slow it down, and I picked a bad place. Well, sorry, I didn't pick a bad place, rather. I ran out of fuel in the wrong place. I say maybe I would have had more success bailing out in the water. Who knows? But yeah, so go ahead, put your entries in, and don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Hobo, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.